Hey, Andy here. This is going to be kind of a selfish video. Pure Storage has come out with a great new feature called Fusion, kind of a product that is a method for administering clusters of storage that really kind of simplifies day two operations, helps with day one, workloads, presets. I'm going to put a link in the show notes if you're interested in doing it. But one of the requirements is LDAP or Active Directory. Well, I was doing an install with a customer on Thursday. They have 3 brand new arrays. Looks nice. Can't show you a picture of it. But talking to them about Fusion, they said, oh, we run FreeIPA. I said, great. We can absolutely connect the array to FreeIPA to use Fusion, to turn Fusion on. So this is a video on how to set up FreeIPA and then connect it to your FlashArray with Purity. This would also work for Pure's FlashBlade. This will also work for other things this is just an LDAP service connecting to Pure stuff. So that being said, in proper fashion, I've created a gist that'll go through all the documentation. It'll go through all the steps you need. And there's actually very few steps, which is cool. So on my harvester, on my network, I've set up a node called IPA. And all I've done is install Docker. Here's the gotcha. This is a RHEL 10, so it does need a reboot because you have to install the IP table services. But all you have to do is install Docker. And I've already done this ahead of time to set it up because it does take a few minutes for IPA to come up. But I've installed Docker. I've enabled it on reboot. Because it's Rocky, I'm using a Rocky 10 VM because it's cgroups v2. You have to basically say user namespace remap to default, and then start, and then obviously install and then reboot. Once that's done, there's a single Docker command here that'll write your data to opt FreeIPA and set a password. Obviously change it as needed, and this will use a Rocky 9 image and use the domain name. So change the domain name as well if you want. But once it's up and running, we're going to need this in a minute, but once it's up and running, this is what we end up with, right? This is FreeIPA. And for those not familiar, it is a LDAP directory service. It can do DNS, it can do certificates. It's actually pretty slick. It's gotten a lot better over the years. I've gone and added a few users. Klemenko, that was my son's idea. For Mr. Dover. But yes, no, that's the identity management. IPA is identity management. Okay, so identity. All I've done is added those 2 users, and then in groups, I've added groups. Now these will align with the FlashArray. Speaking of, this is all set up. I've literally just started it, added users and groups, and I'm done. Haven't had to do anything else. On the array, let's walk through it. So right now, if I go to fleet, it says, no, I can't start a fleet, or I can't create the new fleet or join it. And this is that Fusion product. Fusion, and it's really kind of like an overlay, which is cool. So it's not in the way, but it's very useful. Let's go into settings, and let's configure it now. So we can go down here to users and policies. And this is what threw me off initially. So instead of LDAP, we're doing array management LDAP. Now, the first thing we have to do is we have to map the internal policies to the FreeIPA groups. We can simply edit it. And this one, what did I call this one? Well, we're going to put CN equals groups. And what did I call them? Pure admin, right? So pure admin, and paste in the CN groups. That's where it lives. For the second one, I think I actually did ops admin. Ops underscore admin, and then the group again. And just validate that ops admin, and then read only and storage admin. Okay. Read only groups. And the reason why it's just groups is because we have a base DN. And storage admin. Admin or admins? Admin. Perfect. So we've got those 4. And I can even put the link in for the documentation. I'll have that in another tab browser. But once we've got those mappings, now we can go and add our connection. So for URI, I'm using LDAP IPA. And just for the reference, that's also what you declare, there you go, as the domain name. And the IP does point to the IPA service, which is to that host, that VM, which is important. So we're going to go for URI. For the base DN, this is for FreeIPA, right? So it's like CN accounts, DC, RFED, DCIO. That should kind of track. For the bind user, you have to use this specific nomenclature, UID Clemenco users, right? Because remember I created that Clemenco user. Bind password. Just copy post. Bind password is going to be PA22WRD because of course I'm trying to be consistent. For the user login attribute, UID. And for object class, we have to set it to POSIX. Now, what's interesting is I have here in the notes, once you have FreeIPA up, oh, I didn't put it in the notes. Maybe I will put it in the notes. I will. I'll add it right here. But what I do is I have, I don't have my code editor. I wasn't supposed to do this, but here it is. LDAP search. I'll put these two lines in here. Yum install and then LDAP search. So let me hide that. Go to my terminal. Yep, this is the hobby farm node. Sorry, this is the IPA node. Hobby farm, something I'm playing with. So what I'm basically doing is I'm just validating that LDAP's there, and I can get to the users. You know, we need the -w Clemenco on it, and we can get the users out. There's my Ben. There's my account, which is pretty cool. So it's working, right? So that's one way to test it before you go down the LDAP, the pure route. But once this is done, we can go ahead and hit enable and hit save. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to test the connection. We can then also hit the test button. And this will actually validate it can talk. All greens is good. Okay. Perfect. So we've got it configured. We can now log in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new browser. I'm going to go to FlashArray. That's just what I have it named. And now I'm going to use that Clemenco user. And again, this is an LDAP user, right? So this is great. It's talking to LDAP. LDAP says, yeah, you're cool. Now that I'm in as an admin, I can go to fleet, and now I can start and create my new fleet. And let's call it Clem Lab. Yeah, really creative, but Clem Lab. Click create. And give it a second or two. It takes a sec to spin up. And what's cool is this is an additional API on top. So now I've got the members in there. If I go to storage, what this now allows me to do, notice I now have local array and fleet view. Now it allows me to administer other arrays from the same pane of glass right here. So that's kind of the reason where we're pushing to have Fusion installed, is because of that ability to automate the workloads and presets. So now we got workloads and presets. We can create our first preset, or we can upload JSON for that. It's really around automation. Now where it's going, this is a little inside baseball, where it's going is everything. Health, Portworx, buckets, you name it. It's really going to be the enterprise data cloud foundation, have you will, for the future. Okay, so more to come on that. There's a lot more changes they're making. At some point, they may drop the LDAP requirement, LDAP AD requirement, but for now, it's there. And actually, it's really easy. You saw it was a few lines of code to deploy it in a VM in a virtual machine on a different, on the network, which is easy. I hope this helps in installing FreeIPA. I did cut my teeth a little bit on some of the settings and getting it running with the cgroups v2, but hopefully it shows you how to do it, how easy it is. And let me know if you've got any questions, comments, concerns. Like, share, subscribe, you know all the good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.